Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Very warm welcome to today's online talk, How I Became a Researcher, which is organized in the framework of the Science Week 2024-2025 by the UNIgreen, Green European University. My name is Mariusz Maciejczak. I am from Warsaw University of Life Sciences in Poland, and I am coordinating the activities of the Alliance of UNIgreen with regard to research, development, and innovation. Please allow me, before we start the main part of our talk, share with you some important remarks. This event will be recorded and uploaded to the UNIgreen YouTube channel, of course, for informational purposes. To protect the privacy, participants' cameras and microphones are disabled, and after or during the talks and after, there will be a chat open through which you can share your comments, ask questions to our speakers. Our agenda is quite simple. After my short welcome, we'll hear 5 wonderful stories from researchers from UNIgreen Alliance, members universities. We'll see different perspectives, how their works are shaping a sustainable future and our tomorrows. And of course, as I said, after the presentations, there will be question and answers session for our speakers. Please allow me also for a few words about our alliance, about UNIgreen. UNIgreen is the European university supported by Erasmus Plus program that brings together 8 higher education institutions. Our green university is specialized in sustainable agriculture, green biotechnology, environmental and life sciences. Research is very much vital for UNIgreen Alliance as it supports the green transition, boosts innovations, accelerates sustainable practices aligned with our core values of corrective, academic and environmental responsibilities, as well as openness, engagement, collaboration, diversity, multiculturalism, as well as equity, equality, promotion of human rights and European values. By advancing knowledge in environmental, life sciences, and green technologies, we can address pressing global challenges and promote practical solutions that we reflect our commitment to a healthier planet for our better future. We are naturally committed to that. And most importantly, please meet our speakers of today's meeting. I would like to present and welcome warmly Anna Sofia Fajardo from Polytechnic Universities of Coimbra, Julien Grimaud from SupBiotech from France, Cristina Quintas Soriano from University of Almería, Stéphane Monfils from University College of the Province of Liège, and Julien Nowakowska from Warsaw University of Life Sciences. I would like to ask Anna Sofia to take the floor and present her story. We are very happy that you join us, Anna Sofia, today, and very keen to hear how do you become a researcher. I will stop sharing my screen and will invite you to join me with your screen.
Thank you, Mariusz, for your kind introduction. I hope everyone is seeing my screen. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ana Sofia Fajardo. I'm Portuguese. I'm graduating and have a PhD in chemical engineering. I'm specialized in process, environment, and energy. I work with water and wastewater treatment and waste valorization through the processes of ozonolysis and electrochemistry. My current position is I'm a researcher assistant at the Polytechnic University of Coimbra. But let's see a little bit deeper. My academic degrees. In 2010, I graduated in chemical engineering at the Polytechnic Institute of Coimbra at that time, and I started looking for jobs. But it was not easy. After several doors closed, well, let me explain a little bit about this. I'm a chemical engineer, I'm a woman, and when I applied for jobs, normally the doors were closed. So people said that they would prefer men, even though my curriculum was good, instead of a woman. But I started talking with some colleagues and something happened. A door opened. A friend of mine asked me if why not to continue my studies, as I like to study and to learn more things. Why not to go to a PhD or to a master, because my graduation was bachelor plus graduation. And I followed his advice and I entered in University of Coimbra and I did a master thesis about water treatment using catalytic ozonation and photophotosense process. It was like a test, and at the same time, I was looking for a job. But during this time, I really enjoyed doing research, and I went to a PhD and finished it at 2017, also related to the treatment of effluents, but I entered a new world, the electrochemistry processes disinfection method. And this time, or after finishing it, like what happens with everyone, the doubt started. What to do next? Should I continue to look jobs in industry? Should I continue or start looking for positions in academia? And while I was trying to understand what I really wanted to do, a professor that I met during one of the several conferences that I attended while I was doing my PhD asked me, why not you come to Brazil and you work with me and you see if you like it or not. So imagine a plane flying from Portugal to Brazil, and I stayed there for 3 years and I did 2 postdocs. Both of them related to water treatment. I studied different matrices and I really enjoyed. But after this, or while I was doing these postdocs, I started wondering why not to start thinking about moving on and start developing new process, new systems. So I applied to a Marie Curie Global Fellowship that I won, and I went to the US for 2 years plus 1 year in France. In fact, I really enjoy being there because besides research, we also discover new cultures, different people, and we establish connections and we discover the world. At the moment, I'm an assistant researcher in Portugal, in Coimbra, and this is called the city of the students. It's well known by its monuments, by academia, and also by the nature that surrounds it. Well, you can say, well, I've been, I will not say everywhere, but I travel a lot. Portugal, Brazil, US, France, and from the fourth, there is a 5th position that is in Portugal. And you could say, I'm a travel expert. That's correct. But besides that, I acquired some skills like leadership, organization and lab management, communication, teaching and mentoring, proposal writing, and network expansion. And what this helped me to navigate opportunities and challenges. One of them is the environmental challenges of the 21st century. We know that access to safe water and sanitation is essential to health and a human right. Even though several progress have been made in recent years, billions of people still lack of basic services. We can see this according to the UNESCO statistics from 2023, where 2 billion people do not have access to drinking water, 3.5 billion people do not have basic facilities to wash their hands with soap and water, and more than 673 million people still practice open defecation. I think all of us still remember COVID time, and we realize that access to water was very important, because if we don't have these basic services, diseases can really spread fast.
Welcome, and could you please take over and present your story then?
Yes, sure. Let me share my screen. Can you all see my screen? Yeah, yes.
Yes, we can see your screen. Please put it in the full.
Yep.
Yes.
Perfect. And you should see my pointer.
Yes, we can see your pointer as well.
So, hi everyone. I am Julien Grimaud. You can call me Julien. I am assistant professor of life sciences at SupBiotech, and I will take a few minutes to present myself, my bio, and some examples of my research. So, who am I? My bio. So, I was born and raised in the south of France. You can see the small star here, more precisely in Nice. However, I did most of my post-high school studies in Paris. Namely, so in 2012, I got my Bachelor of Science in Biology and Health from the INS Paris-Saclay, which at the time was called École Normale Supérieure de Cachan. They recently changed their name. And it was a joint bachelor with the University Paris-Saclay. In 2015, I got my Master of Science in Neuroscience, which was a joint master's program from, again, the INS Paris-Saclay and the Université Pierre et Marie Curie in France. Then I traveled to the US, to Boston, to get my PhD.
Welcome, and could you please take over? And
so I was saying that I got my PhD in 2020 from Harvard University, the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. And during my PhD, I did my research in neuroscience. And so a few months after I got my PhD, which actually I got during the COVID pandemic, so I had to defend my thesis on Zoom, which was something. A few months later, I got a job at SupBiotech as assistant professor of life sciences, and I've been assistant professor of life sciences since then. I am, in terms of research, I'm a member of the CellTex research team. We have 4 research teams at SupBiotech. I am in one of them. And I also happen to be involved in UNIgreen, which is the reason why we're here all today. I'm part of the working group called Evaluation and Quality Assurance. So with that said, let's talk a bit about what I do when I do research. And so I want to present to you a small story which is in the process of being published about olfaction, the sense of smell. So as you may know, in the air around you, there are thousands, tens of thousands of molecules that are in the air and that you can smell. They are odorized molecules. These molecules, you will smell them as you inhale. When you inhale, odorized air will come into your nasal cavity. Here I'm showing you a mouse, but that would be exactly the same for humans. Once the odorized molecules reach the nasal cavity, they will first hit neurons, so sensory neurons, in the olfactory epithelium, which is a folded, quite folded actually, layer of cells at the very back of your nasal cavity. These sensory neurons will then transmit odor information in the form of electrical activity to the brain. And the first brain region it will hit is the olfactory bulb. The olfactory bulb in mice is quite big. It's actually a bit smaller in humans. Then the olfactory bulb will, again, transmit this information to the cortex. And since we are talking about odors, olfactory sensation, we talk about the olfactory cortex. So now the question we tried to investigate was, well, it started from a very obvious thing. You, me, this mouse, we all have symmetry. We are bilaterally symmetrical, which means our sensory organs are present on both sides of our body. So whether our ears, our eyes, and even our nose. Our nose, you can see it as two organs because we have two nostrils, two nasal cavities, two sets of receptor neurons. And so my question was this. Imagine you are in a perfume shop and you have a cold. So one of your nostrils is blocked. You smell a perfume and then you decide, oh, actually, I kind of like this perfume. I want to buy it. You go to the shop the next week and your cold is gone. And now your two nostrils are completely unblocked. And you smell the odor and you can still recognize it, despite the fact that your first experience and your second experience of the odor was different because it was smelled differently by your two nostrils. My question was, how does the brain process this, what I will call stereostable experience? You have the same thing, for example, with music. You hear a sound through your left ear and you are able to recognize the same sound through the right ear. Or you see a house when you have one eye closed and you're able to tell when you open the other eye that this is still the same house. The same thing happens in olfaction, and the question is how? So to do that, we first need to understand how information is shared across brain sides, across hemispheres in the olfactory system. So as I told you, odor information goes from the olfactory epithelium to the olfactory bulb, a region of the brain, and then from the olfactory bulb to the olfactory cortex. Well, information cannot be shared across nostrils because, at least in rodents, actually in most mammals, you have a piece of bone, a septum that separates the two nostrils. The human, in that sense, is a bit of an exception because we have a hole in our septum, but most animals do not. Then there's no sharing of information across the epitheliums, across the bulbs. The first place where you get neurons that send information to the other side of the brain is, in fact, in the cortex. And so I will narrow down my question to, well, maybe there's something in the olfactory cortex that helps with this stereostable experience. And this is why we decided to investigate it. And the smaller question we asked was, in the olfactory cortex, are there neurons that could support stereostable olfactory experience? To do so, the experience was as follows. We designed a custom-built face mask for mice, which could deliver odors either on the right or the left nostril precisely. And we delivered these odors either on one side of the nose or the other side, while recording the electrical activity of neurons in the olfactory cortex. And then we simply analyzed how neurons in the olfactory cortex responded to odors coming from one side of the nose versus the other side of the nose. Here are some exemplary results. On these graphs, each graph is one exemplary neuron. The x-axis is the response to odors given on the nostril on the same side as the side of the brain that we recorded. So we call it the ipsilateral side. And the side that was opposite to where we recorded on the nose was called the contralateral side. So contralateral responses. Each dot is one odor. So for each dot, you can see the ipsilateral versus contralateral response to odors. And while many neurons showed no logic in the way they responded to ipsi versus contralateral responses. Some neurons responded not at all, and some responded with no logic. Some neurons showed correlation, pretty strong correlation between how they responded on one side of the nose versus the other side of the nose. In fact, we found that in the olfactory cortex, you have between 10 and 30%. So this variation depends on which sub-region of the olfactory cortex you look at. Between 10 and 30% of neurons that are stereostable. In other words, they respond the same way, whether you give the odor on one side of the nose versus the other side of the nose. And we believe that these neurons could be important for stereostable experience. If you want to check out the paper, it's not out yet, it is under review. However, the preprint is available on BioArchive. So this is for my own research. I also coordinate a pre-doctoral research program for students at SupBiotech. And these students, they also produce research, and we try to make it, to share it with the rest of the science community, for example, in the form of publications. Recently, a few months ago, we published a paper with a few students from actually ex-alumni from SupBiotech. During their time at SupBiotech, they worked on aspergillosis, which is a pulmonary condition caused by a mushroom, a fungus called aspergillus. And these students, as part of a research class at SupBiotech, they wanted to investigate whether it was possible to use essential oils to kill this fungus. And in fact, we are happy to report they found candidate essential oils, namely oregano compactum oil and cinnamon cassia essential oil, so oregano and cinnamon, which were able to kill the mushroom Aspergillus oryzae, which is a member of the Aspergillus genus, at pretty low concentrations. And so they were able to make this small story into a paper, which was recently published. So we're happy. And that will be all for me. Thank you for listening to my small stories.
Julien, thank you very much for sharing with us, I think, passionate story about your research. Seems very interesting, although also demanding, I think, for engagement and discovering new things. Thank you very much for that. Stéphane, could you please? Yes, you are with us, so we'll be very happy to hear your story then.
Thank you very much. So here's my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. So hi, everyone. My name is Stéphane Monfils. If you're interested, Monfils is French for my son, and the L is silent. I'm 39, going on 40 in a bit more than 2 months. I've always lived, studied, and worked in Liège and its surroundings. I'm the second of 3 children. My mother was never a scientist. Literature is always her passion. But my father was also an engineer, but in electromechanics. And he had quite a career in the field of high voltage transformers. My grandfather was quite the scientist. He founded the Center for Space Studies here in Liège, a center which is still strong in its field and works with the European Space Agency. Why am I telling you this? I hope you can see that it's because I've been raised among scientists, and I'm not afraid to say that they have been an inspiration. I can still recall to this day the times my grandfather would show us, me, my brothers, and my cousins, the stars during the nights of shooting stars, or how to use a microscope. So I started by doing my studies in the Faculty of Applied Sciences at the University of Liège to become a civil engineer in architecture. Then I was first employed as a researcher by the same professor with whom I completed my master thesis. And at the end of my studies, I was quite clear on the fact that I did not want, in fact, to become an architect. I thoroughly enjoyed my studies, the field in itself, but I did not want to have to deal with angry clients and contractors and the paperwork linked to the trade. Little did I know that I would find paperwork everywhere I went, but that is a complete other story. So my master thesis opened my eyes to what research could be and to the kind of fulfillment I could find by walking through that particular door instead of the archway to the traditional job of an architect. And here's the first advice to you, to the listeners: open your eyes to the many opportunities a diploma can bring you. Do not necessarily settle for the obvious. Work out what's in your studies make you happy and find a way to capitalize on that. In my case, the domain of research was obviously quite new, but it had the delightful twist of working on sustainable development. I needed to find a meaning behind my work, something that would make me want to get up in the morning, and that was to bring a hand in shaping a sustainable future in a field that I had found to be crucial during my master thesis research, and that was construction. Then I had the opportunity to become a pedagogical assistant, still for the same professor. I already had a taste of what teaching could be, and it allowed me to continue on that path. And I found the transmission of knowledge to be extremely fulfilling, and particularly the way that research could be a powerful tool to help in that. Then the PhD. So now doing a PhD is a requirement when you obtain the position of assistant at the University of Liège. I will not lie and tell you that it was a lifelong dream of mine to bury myself again in studies at that time, but I found joy in being able to research a subject that was important to me, to have the liberty to design my own research while keeping up with the university requirements, of course. There is a form of freedom in a PhD that most people cannot grasp easily. Of course, it can be tiresome at times, but if you are driven by a thirst of knowledge and a will to make that knowledge push some boundaries, it is totally worth it in the end. It's a great way to grow, both yourself and your field of study. It's a challenge, I will not deny that, but what a personal triumph when it's all over. The postdoc position I secured at the University of Maastricht was in direct link with a research project I was working on in 2020 on the subject of condominium retrofitting. I was very inclined to work on a more sociological aspect of my previous researches, and the University of Maastricht was precisely working on that aspect on the same research project. So my advice would be, in this instance, do not understand the opportunities that arise as you go along, even if it means that you have to step a little bit out of your comfort zone and what you are used to research at that time. It will certainly open new research paths and new studies. Now to my present position, otherwise the HEPL would be quite mad at me. I left the University of Liège in 2021, as most people do when they reach the end of their doctoral trajectory. I still had research projects going on, I still do to this day with the university, but I wanted to keep on teaching. And another opportunity arose with a tremendous temporal coincidence, the opportunity to join the Haute École de la Province de Liège. They were searching for people to integrate the master in industrial engineering and construction and a bachelor in alternative and renewable energies, precisely in my field of expertise. One of their demands was that I helped develop the research inside the Department of Science and Technology. And at the same time, I was asked to join a new research project based on the expertise I brought to previous ones. So again, timing, opportunities, and network. I progressively joined the UNIgreen Alliance, working on the work package 6 on knowledge transfer, society, and ecology. I've also joined the UNIgreen project on the definition of a referential on sustainable higher education institutions, then the sustainability unit at the Haute École. Here are some examples of the research projects I've worked on. So I first started by what I knew, of course, and what I wanted to be the prolongation of my master thesis. So I worked on renovation strategies, and it was quite in line with my PhD preoccupations. But now I've lately focused on applying my new socio-technical skills to the field of energy communities, which is the sharing of locally produced renewable energy with your neighbors. I must stress that the last item on that list refers to projects that I do not have yet, but hope to in the next few months. I just had a meeting just before this talk about one of those projects, so opportunities again. I wanted to have a little talk about what the challenges and the successes in research can look like and be quite open and transparent about it, because it's not all butterflies and rainbows, I can guarantee you. So maybe start with the challenges and say that, of course, obtaining grants can be a constant challenge because competition is strong and often the resources can seem insufficient to cover the needs of projects. Then there's the administrative complexity, because it's paperwork, again, reporting, and institutional and governmental requirements can slow progress and exhaust researchers. Then there's the saying that publish or perish is quite a reality. Researchers must constantly publish in high-impact journals to ensure their careers, and sometimes to the detriment of quality or innovation. Between teaching, administrative responsibilities, and the research itself, lack of time is a daily challenge for many researchers. Then there's the access to data and resources. Databases, specialized tools, laboratories can be costly. And in socio-technical studies in particular, getting data from the public at large is often challenging. Researchers often face a lack of recognition outside of the academic world, of course, which can decrease motivation. And then there's the pressure to achieve meaningful results that can sometimes lead to ethical dilemmas, particularly in the collection or presentation of data. And the domain of socio-technical studies is not different. Then some collaborations, of course, can be complex due to cultural differences or divergent visions. Then again, in the field of socio-technical studies, you face all kinds of people, and collaboration is not always on their agenda. But let's go on the most positive side and the successes. There's first the thrill of discoveries, no matter how small. Finding solutions to complex problems, advancing new theories, contributing to the state of knowledge, those are personally rewarding triumphs. Research results directly contribute to improving lives, whether in health, in technology, or understanding the world. Each new study, no matter how small, contributes to advancing a field, opening the door to new questions and unexpected answers, and new questions lead to new research. The development of new tools and methods allow researchers to push the boundaries where it's possible and of what is possible. Publishing in prestigious journals, being cited by peers, or receiving awards and honors is a great accomplishment for a researcher. By teaching and supervising doctoral students or postdoctoral fellows, researchers participate in the training of future generations of scientists, and that's really meaningful, for me at least. And then there's working with other experts from diverse backgrounds to solve complex problems, which can lead to richer and more innovative results. So as you see, I've tried to put two sides to every coin. Where there is a challenge, there can be a success. You need to find out what it can be for you in the field of research. So that was my little story, and thank you very much.
I consider that not a little, but really very interesting and quite impressive. Congrats on that. And just to share my impression that you are very happy with what you are doing, and that I think is the biggest achievement you could have. Thank you very much, Stéphane.
You're welcome.
And I think we will go right now to ask Julia Nowakowska from Warsaw University of Life Sciences. Could you please tell your story? You are at the very beginning of your journey, and we are a bit an envy for you because you just started the journey, and all the work, and also the pleasure is in front of you. How it started? Why you are a researcher? How you became a researcher? Could you please share that with us?
Yes, of course. I am happy to share my story today. Let me put the presentation on. All right. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So good morning once again. My name is Julien Nowakowska, and as before mentioned, I'm a PhD student at Center of Cellular Immunotherapies at Warsaw University of Life Sciences, SGGW, in Warsaw, in Poland. And today I would like to share my story, how from a student I became a cancer biology scientist, and how my research journey looked like up to now. But who am I now? Let me introduce myself a little bit more. As mentioned, I'm a PhD student at Center of Cellular Immunotherapies, but I also continue my education at SGGW Doctoral School, where I am also an active member of Doctoral School Council, because it was always important to me that if you will do a PhD, it will be not only about studying and researching, it will be also about taking care about a community and networking with other PhD students. However, at the same time, I work in Celis. It is a company led by my supervisor, Professor Magdalena Król, where I work as a cancer biology and immunology researcher. And today I would love to also share more about my research with you, as I am really passionate about discovering new anti-cancer therapies. And that is why I am working on glioma, the most aggressive form of brain tumor. And the problem of curing this cancer is that only in the US, every year, nearly 300,000 of people are diagnosed on this brain tumor. And what's even worse, over 240,000 of these cases of diagnosed patients die because of this disease. And even though we have nowadays different treatment methods, there is still no effective one. And that is why nearly 7, and I would say less than 7% of diagnosed patients do not survive more than 5 years. That is why in our laboratory, we're working on a solution for this malignant tumor. But to understand what I do, you have to know about the role of macrophages in our body. Those are immune cells, our own immune cells, which circulates in our blood system. And every time somewhere in our body there is an inflammation or a tumor, they, I would say, swim with the blood directly to the area where the tumor occurs. Moreover, macrophages have a special ability to kill inflammation, kill cancer cells. They can do this in a few ways. First of all, they can, I would say, digest. In scientific way, we are saying phagocyte microbes, like here at this top picture. Moreover, macrophages can also release from their insides different particles such as cytokines and kill, again, microbes and cancer cells, what's more important, by releasing these substances. Knowing this, our team innovated a special therapy where we are taking macrophages, which I've mentioned before, and we are loading it with an anti-cancer drug. Those prepared macrophages are known and named by our company as MDCs, macrophage drug conjugates. Those macrophages carrying a drug we are giving to the patients, to the tumor area. Their macrophages in a process of giving the drug to the cancer cells. So macrophages are transferring the drug to the cancer cells, At the same time, they're killing cancer cells. So as a result, there is the whole process of killing a tumor occurs more effectively. We have tested this phenomenon both in vivo and in vitro. And my job right now as a PhD student in our laboratory is to check how MDCs, so macrophages conjugated with a drug, works in the whole tumor microenvironment. Because you all have to know that every time we have a tumor in our body, the tumor is not alone. All our immune system is mobilized and all our immune cells are flowing to the tumor area, forming this what I'm calling tumor microenvironment. They try to kill cancer cells itself. So my job is to check how our macrophages conjugated with a drug interacts with T cells, dendritic cells, and NK cells, so other immune systems. To discover more these interactions during my PhD. Right now, I'm finishing my first year, so hopefully in the next 3 years, I will investigate this phenomenon more. But how did it start? How I became a researcher? How did I become a cancer biology scientist? It all started when I was in high school. And there, for the first time, I've heard about different aspects of biology, microbiology, molecular biology, genetics, immunology. And I was so fascinated by all these aspects of science that I was looking for studies where I can discover them more, when I can maybe learn how to develop new drugs, how our aspects of immune system works, and how to create innovative therapies. And then I, for the first time, heard about biotechnology. I was so fascinated by this faculty that I decided to study it in Warsaw, in Poland, at SGGW, at Warsaw University of Life Sciences. And during my studies, I did both my bachelor and master thesis at SGGW. My bachelor was mostly focused on microbiology. However, my master thesis was more about the topic I'm working on today. But during my master's, I was focused on lung cancer cells and macrophages again. But I finished the bachelor, I finished my master thesis, and the question was, what's next? I've decided to see how is it to work in the industry. Even during my studies, because when I was doing my master's, the COVID pandemic occurs, and I needed to work in a COVID laboratory. Then, after finishing my master's, I was working for 1 year in Polish biotechnology company. It was about drug development, and I've learned there a lot. I've learned there about the GMP process. I've learned how to develop the drugs, also about not only business but human relations. How is it to work in a huge biotech company? And I do not complain at all. However, personally, I was missing something. And then I realized I am missing a laboratory work. I wanted to discover more and work in the lab in general. So this is why I've decided to start my PhD again at Warsaw University of Life Sciences at SGGW, at our doctoral school. But I am very satisfied because during my PhD, I can also work in cells and at the same time discover and discover more aspects of this innovative therapy I've mentioned before. But if you want to remember only one slide from my presentation, I hope it will be this one, because I am almost sure that among the viewers are still people who maybe are studying and they're considering different aspects of being a scientist. And I hope those 3 advice I have for you will help you to decide. So first, one of the most important aspects of being a student is doing internships, because it doesn't matter if you will continue your career in academia or you wanted to work in a company. It's great to have an extra experience which will show your skills. I've personally decided to do an Erasmus student exchange, which I encourage you a lot as well. I cannot recommend it enough, because I did not only learn a lot about, again, oncology and different immunology aspects, but also I've met a lot of people from all around Europe, and yeah, that's a great benefit. Moreover, I did my internship in a Polish Institute of Biology and Biophysics. Second of all, I think it's great to join councils and organizations. It doesn't matter if they're the local ones or international ones. Personally, now I have joined COST, European Cooperation in Science and Technology. Moreover, the mentioned council of our doctoral school and the local Biotech Student Association Symbioza. It's the one in Warsaw. And I think it's great for every student to be at least in one of the various organizations we have, so you can network with others and also join great workshops, which are really often organized for free, and then connect with it's really likely you will meet in the future, and then you can cooperate together. But the last advice I think it's really important to take into account is to monitor the job market regularly, so you can be prepared even during your studies for the skills your future employers will need from you, and it will be very beneficial because you will be prepared even before you will start to look for a job. Moreover, if you are studying right now and you don't know actually what do you want to do after your studies, by looking for job, you can see what are the possibilities, and hopefully you will find the right one for you. But what's more important, I hope we all will never stop discovering. So thank you very much for your attention. And if you would like to stay in touch with me, please send me an email or on LinkedIn. Yeah, contact me on LinkedIn. I will be happy to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julia, very much for your wonderful presentation. I have an impression that on one hand, you went into the journey, into the center of micro environment or micro world, and this journey is much better than the journey described by Jules Verne. But on the other hand, you are very well attached to the macro world, and you know how to find yourself in the whole world of science. You have your own path, and you are very confident with that. Congratulations for this. And right now, I would like to ask Cristina Quintas Soriano, who joined me with the view. Cristina, very happy to have you with us, and please share your story with us as well.
Hi, thank you. And I'm sorry for the for the small problems of connection, but yeah, I'm very happy to be here with all of you. Well, hi everyone. My name is Cristina Soriano. I am a researcher at the University of Almería in Spain. And today I will share with you my experience and my trajectory to become myself as a researcher in sustainability science. That is the field of work that I'm currently working on. So when I started to prepare this presentation and I did think about why I did become a researcher, I could only think about when I was a child, I was super interested in nature. And in particular, I was interested in how we could conserve and protect better nature. And I think this interest came from my family and especially from my parents, because they always have tried to bring us to excursion and to spend time in nature. And also because my family always have had a traditional orchard, a traditional agricultural area. And I always have been connected with traditional agriculture and I have spent a lot of time there. So in this type of landscape that you can see here. So I was very interested as a child in nature, but when you think about nature, you will probably think about this type of landscapes like beautiful mountains, beautiful green areas with lakes and with big forests. And this is true, this is nature, but here in Almería, where I come from, in south of Spain, the type of nature is very different because it's the driest region in all continental Europe and it's very dry. So it's a dry land, it's a semi-arid region. So that means that we have another type of nature that has a lot of biodiversity and is beautiful also, but we have a big problem that I will talk later, that is that people usually don't value or like less this type of nature because we maybe have less trees or less water and maybe it's not green. So in this type of landscape that we have here, this type of nature, people are quite disconnected from that and they don't appreciate it. So when I was at high school, around the year 2000 something, there was already a lot of information about the environmental problems that we are suffering right now are the same issues that we have currently. And it was more or less about climate change, biodiversity loss. And I remember being quite concerned about all these environmental problems. And in fact, I have one of these National Geographic journals that I read at that time. So when I finished my high school, I decided to study the Bachelor of Environmental Science at the University of Almería with the goal to study something that it could help or at least do something about caring about nature and protect the planet. So I did that Bachelor on Environmental Science at the University of Almería. After that, I did a master's degree on the assessment of global change and conservation. And because of my master's thesis, I got an offer to start the PhD. And here I want to highlight that in my case, it was not something that I planned. So I really like science, I really like do research, but it was not planned. And in my case, it was an opportunity that came up because I did a good master thesis. And until that moment, to do science in my mind was something that I always liked, but maybe I thought it was something very difficult to do or only for super brilliant people. And here I want to call you all and make a call about that. If you are interested in science, if you want to become a researcher, the only thing that you need is to be passionate about science, find a topic that you would like to contribute and work very hard. So everybody can do science, everybody can become a researcher if they want to. So in my case, that topic, it was environmental science, nature conservation, and I did my doctoral thesis to understand how people perceive and relate with Spanish drylands and how we can conserve better nature. So after finishing my PhD thesis, it came the most difficult part, because when you are a doctor, you need to try to find a permanent position, and this is currently quite difficult. And I started the postdoctoral phase. That means that you have done your thesis, but you don't have a permanent position yet, so you are in between. And I did find a job, a postdoctoral researcher, a postdoctoral position in the US. So I moved to Idaho in the US and I worked for 2 years at Idaho State University, where I was working about water management in drylands around the world. After these 2 years in the US, I found a new job, in this case in Germany. So I moved back to Europe, and I spent 3 years at the University of Kassel, there in Germany, in this case working in sustainability issues about rural landscape and land abandonment. And after these 5 years working abroad in different countries, I wanted to come back to Spain. And I did got a new contract, in this case, an European contract, a Marie Curie project. And I came back to Spain, and I was working there for 2 years in my own project. That it was wonderful. And I was very lucky, because after these 2 years of postdoctoral research at the University of Almería in Spain, I got 2 different projects. Currently that I am the principal investigator, and I'm currently leading my own research line at the University of Almería about conservation of rural areas for the conservation of biodiversity and cultural diversity protection. So this is my research path until here. But what I do currently? Well, my research and my work is about to try to understand how people relate, interact, and connect with nature in different ways, and try to understand better how we can change and motivate behaviors for people to promote conservation and more environmental behaviors. So for instance, I study how we can make that how we can start people value more and consider more important dryland landscapes and semi-arid landscapes, such as the one that we have here in Almería, because we want to make people value this type of landscape, to protect them and to conserve in the future. So what we do is to try to understand this relationship with people and nature, with different approaches, especially from the social dimension and the participatory methods. And we try to identify ways to reconnect people with nature, especially for urban areas. So we use many different approaches, but what we especially do is to work with the people, with the local people that are in these landscapes, to try to understand their knowledge, motivations, and concerns. And for that, we use many different approaches: participatory, workshops, surveys, interviews. And we try to work with these people to look for solutions collectively, because we think if we involve the people, we will change their interests, and we will promote a change in the people. So we will empower them, and we will motivate them to do things for protecting nature. Just to finish the presentation, I also would like to highlight that apart from my career at the university, my academic research career has been possible because in parallel, I have been part of a group of people, this collective, Fractal Collective, that is a group of women researchers in different parts of Spain, that we have been working together and supporting each other to try to develop science, but in a different way, in a more caring way, always trying to be more participative, with a feminist approach and also with a care perspective. So I need to recognize that currently I am a researcher because I have been part of a group of people that we have to support each other. Well, with that, I just want to thank you all for listening, and I will be happy to answer after all the presentation any question that you will have. Thank you.
Thank you very much for showing us your job and your journey. Again, it looks like you enjoy, but from my perspective, you move from environmental sciences into the relation between people, land, nature, relationship, which is very much interesting as a interdisciplinarity aspect. Can be found here very much. We have Anna Sofia Fajardo with us again. Anna Sofia, you spoke about doors that were first closed but then open broadly for you. You work on the water treatment. You travel a lot. Could you please continue your story and make some points for us that we will take as a message home?
Okay, that would be perfect. Just let me start sharing again, just to be easier to follow. Around here. So what I was saying is that house population is growing a lot, and for us to maintain our quality of life, several products have been developed, like plastics, antibiotics, dyes, medicine, fertilizers, and those products will release substances that cause serious risks to human health and environment. Although we know that several conventional processes or treatments have been applied to treat these waters that are polluted. They require, namely the biological process, require large amount of physical space, production of sludge, and they need a post-treatment to even improve the quality of water. But how can us as scientists and engineers how can we contribute to avoid or to solve it? So we should start looking for green, sustainable, and low-cost technologies. Based on this, I start wondering how I could help in order to avoid the pollution or even to treat it. And I start thinking, is it possible to mix water and energy? My friend here says that water and electricity, they don't mix because we know short circuits might happen. But let me introduce you to electrochemical processes. It seems complicated, but here I have a simple setup of an electrochemical process where I have an anode and a cathode that are metallic materials that are connected to a power supply that will give energy to the system and allow that determined reactions occur. And why are these processes so appealing? They use an electron as a clean reagent. We don't need to add chemicals to the system. They are easy to use. No waste is produced, mostly in this process. There is a small physical footprint. If you remember, if you know, sometimes we put some equipment below our sink to clean water. So this kind of electrochemical process can also have the same size and treat water at our houses as well. And the most or important, I would say, it operates at ambient conditions of temperature and pressure. So we don't need to spend lots of amount of money in order to treat water. These here are some examples of electrochemical processes, and those that are highlighted in green are those that I've already worked with. I will not go deep in here, but I wanted to share with you some images and videos in order for you guys to understand how this really works. Here I have a process called electrocoagulation. You see there is a dye there that is being, I'm simulating a dye from textile industry, and after 4 hours I was able to remove color. It decreased the organic compounds on that solution. As I mentioned before, besides treating water, I also valorize waste. In Portugal, we have an important industry that is cork industry, and I wanted to treat the wastewater from that industry, that is this color here, brownish. And I used a recycled aluminum alloy in order to do that. As you can see, after 15 minutes, I obtained a clean water, and on the bottom is the particles that were precipitated using that aluminum. Besides electrocoagulation, there are other processes, as electrochemical oxidation. Here, the electrodes that I'm using, the materials, are not sacrificial as the first ones. These here are more expensive, and instead of separating the pollution, they really convert the pollutants to CO2 and water. This video, it is like, I make it to be fast, but as you can see, in 30 seconds here, the water is clear, but in the reality, it took me 15 minutes to obtain a clear water. But as you can see, like a small device really can help us to have water to use. But can we consume these waters? The answer is no, because I'm only showing you how to treat industrial waters, but they can be reused in irrigation and industry. But can this treatment be applied to drinking water? The answer is yes. But to shorten the presentation, I will not explain deeper this step. I want you guys to have this message, to take home this message that if we understand that our treatment, water treatment, we can contribute to protecting the planet. This was my dream, and what is yours? So the research, for me, it is the art of creating questions, and each answer reveals a new horizon of possibilities to be explored. I start also my research because I really enjoy environment and want us to help or to contribute with something to make it better even for future generations. So that is it. I would like to be grateful for your attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your exciting story. Water is alive, so you are working on really issues that will keep us alive for a long time. Thank you very much. And that was the first and the last presentation. Right now we will move to question and answer session. I would like all the speakers to join me at the screen. Thank you very much. We have Anna Sofia, Cristina, Julia, Stéphane, and Julien. I would like to make a comment and ask a question as a first, if you please allow me. You show us how big interest you have in science, how big passion, dedication you have to solving real problems. How rewarding in big and small rewards this job and these activities can be. But from my side, you show us also another aspect. You show us that you are still very much young, because you are asking the questions like children. And you are very happy with the discoveries you are making. Do you still feel like like a kid or like a child in discovering the things, asking the questions and answering them in very sophisticated and in very scientific way. Is that feeling you have that becoming a researcher is becoming or staying young for a very long time, although the age shows that you are young anyway, but this kind of special feeling, do you have that? Maybe who wants to answer? Could you please maybe raise a hand and then Stéphane, please.
Yes, I think there is something very childlike in the fact of discovering new things. That's the propension of kids to discover progressively what the world is about. And there might be something there. I didn't think about this like that until now, but it's interesting that you bring it up, because I think there's something childlike in the fact of having joy to discover new things.
Thank you very much, Stéphane. Who wants to answer? Julien, please, and then Anna Sofia.
Yes, I completely agree with Stéphane. The discovery part of research, actually, which is not happening every day. So lots of the work of a researcher can be boring. Also, as many of you mentioned during the presentation, there's finding money, there is managing people, there is other things like administrative things, being involved in boring things with your university, etc. But yes, the thing that still keeps me into research is the moments when you discover something new, and that it's like opening a present at Christmas.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that, Anna Sofia.
Oh, I completely agree with you, Mariusz. We sometimes feel that we are children. We are discovering new things every day. In fact, sometimes when we are talking with our colleagues about nonsense, a great idea comes from there. And I can share with you, here is my whiteboard, and we come here every almost single day, and we start drawing and see the possibilities to obtain new things. And yesterday I attended like a conference here in our institute, and a person from industry was saying it's easy, or the difficult is to make things seem easy. And for us, I think we are dealing with that every day, and we deal with students most of the time, and we need to make things simple, and for them also to feel attracted, and also to want to continue to do something. And if we share that joy with them, I think we all together can achieve something.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that comment. I don't know if Julia and Cristina would like to comment as well. Please, Cristina.
Yeah, I can just add a little more, but for me, the most interesting part of the research is about thinking and making maybe crazy questions. So you are meeting your team, and I have another blackboard too. So, and you are just talking about and trying to raise questions that you are interested in, and then thinking about how you can answer that. And this is a very, it's a way that you need to use your imagination and be very creative. So yeah, I will agree a lot. That is a part of when you were a child. So
perfect. Thank you very much. Julia.
Yes, so if I may, I think as well that, and actually that's why I became a researcher, that sometimes answering one question brings you another one, and it leads you to even bigger discoveries. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing this view with us. And we have some questions on the chat. Those questions relate to cooperation with people from different countries. There's a lot of interest from people from different countries to join the university, to join the research work. How do you deal with that? How do you invite colleagues to cooperate and young people to cooperate? What kind of qualifications they should have to be your co-workers, the people with whom you work? How they should think about themselves to become a researchers, wherever they are coming from different parts of the world, from home country or the other countries. How it works with your. Maybe I will ask Anna Sofia.
So I think the most important people should come motivated.
Yeah.
And have a strong will to learn new things and to cooperate, because I think that is the fundamental for us to develop work together. We have examples of people sometimes coming and they really don't know what to do, and at this point is where they start realizing what they want from their lives, and we can help with it. But if people already bring motivation, I think all together can work to develop great things.
Okay, thank you very much. Stéphane, what about you?
I quite agree with Anna Sofia. We need to have motivation. We need to have people who share interests. But at the same time, it's really important to also have people who can look at the same problem with different points of view and bring something new to the table, something that I wouldn't have thought of. I mean, a different way to tackle the problem or to search for a solution. Brainstorming is really important. The collective intelligence is really important to science. And I think it's really important to have people coming from different backgrounds also. Of course, when the topic is very focused and very technical, the background is, of course, necessary. But I think that, multiple points of view is really important.
Thank you very much. Julia, please.
Yeah, if I can refer to what Stéphane just said. So yeah, me as a young, like at the beginning of my scientific journey, sometimes I experience that I'm on a meeting where I'm, for example, the less experienced person in the room. And sometimes I'm thinking, okay, why am I sitting there? And really often the answer is that's because, like, when we are like at the beginning of our journey, we see the issue differently. So we can bring another new ideas on which people who are already super experienced cannot even thought because it's like too easy for them. Yeah, so I encourage all young students and researchers to always participate and speak up if they have an idea. Yeah, it's great to share your knowledge with others.
Okay, thank you very much. There's a question. What recommendation would you give me to start an investigation? Maybe I will ask Julien. Julien, what would you recommend to start any investigation?
Well, I would, if this person were my students, I would tell them to do some bibliographical research before starting a question on a very serious way. No, knowing the state of the arts, I think, is essential, because any story you may start, at the end of the day, you will need to share it with an audience, and the audience needs to be interested in this story. And this story can be interesting because it helps other people understand things because it is something new, because it is something no one has explored, because it is something that contradicts someone else's ideas. So at the end of the day, you need this knowledge of what has been done before you can start asking questions. And so even though it may sound boring to some of my students, again, talking from experience from my own students, this bibliography research is going to be essential. So know your topic, know your topic, know your topic. Read papers, basically.
Thank you very much. Cristina, from your point of view.
I agree with Julien, but I will go a step back. So if you want to start doing research, you need to start finding a topic that you like a lot. So find a good topic, and I will say more important is to find a good advisor who teaches you how to do research. And this is also not super easy because sometimes you don't align the same ideas on the same way. So my best advice will be to find a good team of people who work with, your ideas and ways to do science align with that. And this is super important.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I will also ask Anna Sofia, from your perspective, starting the research also requires a kind of basic, let's say, competences in doing the research, or you can start from the scratch, from the street, saying, okay, I will do the research. Is there any preparatory necessary also for doing the research?
You always need basis to everything that you do. I will, like Cristina, will start a little bit before. I don't know, regarding the place where you are, sometimes you don't have connection with research. You don't know that you can do that. I speak about myself. When I was doing my bachelor and degree, taking my degree, I was very formatted just to think about industry, not to think about research. And was like by accident that I stepped into research. And I was like afraid, am I capable to do that? Do I have the basis to start doing that? And I realized that I really have a great background from where I came. And that gave me all the instruments, necessary instruments to start discovering new stuff. Even in a new place, people were very helpful and also start giving tips. And besides our background, we always need advice and encouragement from the people that are beside us. So I think we need like a group of things in order for us to continue. But to reply to you, Mariusz, yes, we always need basic information to start doing things. It's not impossible to start from the scratch, but it will take you more work to do that.
Okay. During your presentations, for 2 times at least, if not for 3 times, the name of Marii Skłodowska-Curie was mentioned. Anna Sofia was a scholar of the program under Marie Curie, and Julien studied at the University of Pierre and Marie Curie. What I remember from her diary is that she wrote that we must believe that one is gifted in something, and there is a reason that this gift should be attained. And being a researcher is also to discover new gifts that we are having. Sometimes we don't realize that we can do something, that we are gifted in something. My question to you is, have you discovered during your journey that you are gifted in something that you never realized that it might be true for you? speak only about particular your scientific work, but being in a research environment, you discover that you are good in something, and people appreciate that, and you yourself appreciate that. Maybe I will ask Julia. Did you discover something?
Actually, yes, and it's more about like my character than like one skill. So after doing my bachelor or master thesis, it was all doing laboratory experiments. And then I realized, and also my supervisors noticed, that I am really patient. So I can repeat and different experiments if they fail, and then I analyze what can we fix and work on it again. So yeah, I think for sure, especially if you want to work in a lab, the patience is the character quality you need a lot, and just do not give up if something fails.
Julien confirms that. Julien, what about you?
Patience and frustration. This is
Okay.
what these are the two main things that I learned during my PhD. So we talked a few minutes ago about the joy of being a researcher. There's also the pain of things not working the way you want, and this happens more often than not. And so definitely during these times of frustration, because the experiment doesn't work, because the results are not the way you were expecting them to be, because your paper is rejected, because you felt like you gave a bad presentation at some point, discovering that you can count on your family, on your friends, on my husband for me. Maybe this is the thing that I discovered, like, you're not alone, and you can, like, there's work and there's life, and to remain sane you need to have a good work-life balance, and you can rely on your outside of work life to feel more comfortable, and then be ready to get back to work the next morning and feel like, hey, it's nothing, I can do it again.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Stéphane, what is your perspective?
I really agree with Julien, of course. There's also something that I don't think anyone enters the field of research knowing they are good at it. We can have a taste of it with our master thesis, and we can sense there might be something there. But I think everyone enters the field of research with some kind of apprehension. And then we discover along as we go that, okay, I'm not so bad at this, because we have some peer reviewing. You have people around you in the academic world who tell you, okay, it's not bad what you're doing there. So gradually you gain confidence, and progressively you get a feel of what you can do.
Okay, thank you very much. Cristina, what is your perspective?
I would say that after, well, in my case, many years doing research, right now I have learned to do many things that at the beginning of the journey I would have not thought that I would be capable of, because being a researcher is more than do research, writing paper. It's also about, I don't know, being in public, talking and communicating, things, be capable of travel to other countries and meeting people in different languages and make partnership. So you need to learn many things that I was unsure that I will be able to do it. And it's a great thing to be more confident, learning new things, doing things that are, I would say I'm a new me than 10 years ago. So I think be a researcher is a great path to learn many things new.
Thank you very much for what you have said, because in the UNIgreen Alliance, we appreciate and we value very much openness, engagement, collaboration, diversity, inclusion, equality. We we are very full into promotion on the values that are on the European level, and also the human rights, and that makes also the works of the academics or the researchers very much important. We have one question about how we can effectively complete research in joint PhD program like UNIgreen. How to be effective in completing PhD program like UNIgreen. Maybe I will ask Julien. Julien, you have some experiences in completing the PhD in United States. Any advice from your side, from different perspectives than European, about doing the PhD and completing it successfully?
I mean, gosh, what a large question. First of all, you need some sort of background so that when you talk to the people who will recruit you at some point for your PhD, you need to not sound like an idiot. So there is some background to have. But I believe that no matter your training that you have before starting your PhD, what matters is not necessarily like the exact topic of your training, but learning to learn, learning to like what you do. What I mean is that you can certainly be trained during your pre-doctoral studies, for example, in ecology, and then you decide, oh, why not have a PhD in neuroscience? And I'm sure you'll get the knowledge along the way during your beginning of your PhD. Is it going to be hard? Yes, probably more than other people who have followed classes in neuroscience, etc. However, I don't think it's impossible, and I don't think people should restrict themselves to like, I studied this in that class, therefore I have to do this in that PhD. There's more to say about choosing the right advisor, as some of you guys have mentioned. Choosing the right advisor with whom you feel comfortable and with whom you will share things and you will learn along the way.
And I will ask Cristina for saying a few words about your perspective. You work also in Germany for a while. Being a researcher in another country is a challenge, or is a pleasure of enjoying another culture, especially during the Oktoberfest, which will start soon. How it is with from your perspective?
I will say it is both. So on one side is a challenge because you need to, change your whole life and move away from your family and your environment. But that challenge motivates you to learn many new things. And working in another country, in another institution with another group of people is, I would say, very good for make you more experienced in the research environment. So I grow as a researcher when I moved abroad, and I think it was very good for my trajectory and my CV, and me as a person to came back here to Spain in my case, because I wanted to leave my country and do research here. But I came back with many learned. So yeah, I would say both, but I would recommend to try at least to spend some time abroad and work abroad, because it's very good.
Before I will pass the mic and floor to Anna. Anna, please allow me to ask our speakers for one final sentence of the comment before we will finish. So, Anna Sofia.
About going to another country, is that it?
Okay.
Like Cristina, it's both. It's very challenging, but it's wonderful. You new cultures, new people. you understand other ways of thinking and see things in another perspective. And sometimes you stay like, oh, really? I haven't thought about this. Is it possible? So it's really a great deal to go abroad. It opens our mind. I was very shy. Now I understand that I can speak people from different places and without any kind of problem. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And we stay with friends and colleagues for life. And we can return and we can do things together and help each other. Imagine I went to 2 or 3 countries and I returned to my home country. And I'm doing collaborations with people from those countries, and we establish new connections, new bonds, and it's amazing.
Okay, and one concluding remark: to become a researcher is good.
It's
Perfect.
good. Try it. Give it a try, because you will be impressed and you will also superate so many obstacles that will be wonderful for your life.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Cristina, to become a researcher is
It's a long way to go.
a long way to go.
But if you like it and it's the thing that you want to do, is totally is very recommendable. So I really love my job and do research.
Okay, thank you very much. Stéphane, to become a researcher for you is?
For me, it's about finding something you're passionate about, because at one point you will have to go through some hurdles and frustrations. But if you find something you're really passionate about, you'll go through them without too much of a fuss, and you'll find joy in other things, but which are related, of course. But so it's really about something you're passionate about.
Thank you very much, Julien. For you, to become a researcher?
Yeah, to become a researcher, I would say try it. I'm sure in your school you have opportunities for lab rotations, for internships. I think if you are considering a career in research, why not try for example, a summer rotation in lab? Because even though through this panel we have tried to give some advice and some of our visions of the work of a researcher, it's quite actually hard to describe in full. And so I think the best advice would be try to find a rotation in lab and see by yourself.
Thank you very much. And Julia, to become a researcher for you is?
For me, it's seeing a purpose in your work, and I think it will motivate you to beat any obstacles you will have on your journey, and also to try different things. I also agree with all the aspects previous and more experienced speakers than me mentioned. So yes, I can conclude like that.
Okay, thank you very much for your opinions. For me, become a researcher is asking a question, what I can find at the horizon when I will get there. But the nicest thing is that I am not going there alone. I am going with other people, and today's journey was a great pleasure and honor to have you here and to go together with you. I'm feeling that although we are all in different places, we can join for coffee or maybe for a good wine, and we can continue for a long time, like researchers can do, asking the questions, enjoying being in such a great company. I would like to thank Anna Traveres and Agathe Brajou for organizing all that event for us and creating a space and time for us to share this points of view. Thank you very much for this, Anna, Agathe, and would like to thank also all the participants. At the peak, I observed there was more than 40 of people who join us and who listen. Thank you for that, and we are aware that more will join us later on YouTube. Thank you very much. Anna, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mariusz. Let me go take myself to the screen for a second. Actually, when I was looking at the questions, I think there was more of a formal element in one of them that perhaps we would also like to address. The question about joint PhD programs like the one we have at UNIgreen, and I'm assuming here we're talking about European university alliances like ourselves. Of course, formal requirements and how PhD students and candidates do their mobility, namely to complete research, will vary across alliances. What I can do is encourage you to visit the UNIgreen website, and I will leave the link in a second in the chat, because there's plenty of information about our joint doctoral program with some details about research, how it's supposed to be done collaboratively across different institutions, because mobility is actually mandatory. So I don't know if Mariusz, you would like to add a few comments on this, but I took my perspective or my approach of the question was more a little bit on the formal side of opportunities within joint programs themselves.
Okay. So what is the next step, Anna?
Actually, I'm going to share in the chat in a second the link to the UNIgreen website page for the joint PhD program. What I feel the viewer was asking about was more in the sense of what type of mobility and collaborative opportunities are possible. And the comment is that in UNIgreen, mobility is in fact mandatory for a joint PhD program. And I just wanted to complete with that information as well.
Okay. So thank you very much for that, and please share this the formal issues at the screen. And I think that's all we can say. Thank you very much all for participating. Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you to Anna, Sofia, Cristina, Julia, Stéphane, and Julien. Thank you to Anna and Agata. Thank you to all. Have a good day, and looking forward to meet you in other nice scientific research circumstances. All the best. Thank you.